Pulse 95. Between local lines, notes from the Emirate.
Well, apart from notes from the Emirates, it's more about notes from the world, because this is amazing, especially when the UK has announced their plans on exempting travellers from the UAE from quarantine by next month. Vaccinated UAE nationals and residents will be able to visit the UK without the need to quarantine. This was an announcement made by James Cleverly. He is the Minister of State for Middle East and North Africa at the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, as he tweeted saying that delighted that international travel is opening up, and they've also been discussing abolishing the traffic light system as a whole.
Not only that, but among new measures to open up travel announced on Friday, 8 nations, including Turkey, Egypt, and Pakistan, they will also be removed from the UK's red list for travelers starting September 22nd. The Maldives, Sri Lanka, Oman, Bangladesh, and Kenya are also set to see travel restrictions ease as well. So those changes, they offer a huge boost, obviously, to the industry of travel, with British families now looking to book winter sun holidays, in fact. Although no specific guidance on travel requirements has been offered to those living here in the UAE, but current demands on a 10-day quarantine for all travelers or all arrivals from the UAE are likely to change, because currently all travelers from the Emirates, they must currently quarantine on arrival with at least 5 days spent in a private residence in the UK, just like Abdul Karim just experienced when he was in the UK.
Well, it's great to see these changes are happening, and it's all ahead of the international travel system from the United Kingdom and to the United Kingdom being overhauled starting on the 4th of October. They're going to scrap that traffic light system and they're going to simplify it. They're just going to have a single red list, according to Transport Secretary Grant Shapps. PCR tests will also no longer be required for fully vaccinated travelers who are returning home to England as well. So great to see that the travel rules are going to be simplified. It's going to make it a lot easier for people to travel to and from the United Kingdom without this bureaucracy, in the sense that you have to get 1 million tests and there's a little bit of uncertainty. It's always good to have, when there are rules in place, it's better to have simplified rules. It makes things a lot easier for people to follow and comply with. And also, and hopefully, this is going to be a major step to helping tourism recover.
This all came after His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, visited London, in fact, last week. And the two leaders, he met with Boris Johnson, and they agreed to establish a new ambitious partnership for the future that will strengthen the historic relations that the two countries already share. The new partnership, it will build on this history and ensure that the UAE and UK are able to work closely together to promote prosperity and security, tackle climate change, expand the exchange of knowledge, skills, and ideas as well. And this was a very fruitful visit, in fact. So, but the main takeaway here is the partnership for the future that was forged by the two nations.
Yeah, I would say this is a game changer. I would definitely describe it as, because when I had to travel over to the UK, I had to book a day 2 test at least, and we did a PCR test before departure to the UK, and I went through EU so that I do qualify for the EU vaccinated traveller scheme. So that made me not mandatory to get the day 2 and day 8, because I was only going to be there for day 5 for 5 days. So as per the rules, what I was required to do was fill up a passenger locator form, do a pre-departure PCR test, which I did in Amsterdam, and luckily it was all free for everyone. It's a free test if you want to travel. As soon as I landed, I had to book before landing or even filling out the passenger locator form, I had to book an arrivals test, and that cost me £55.
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money, yes. And I had to book that. So I landed, and then I went for a test on my second day. So throughout my time, I had to quarantine. I got a visit in the morning the next day by someone from NHS Track and Trace. It was like a trick or treat, basically. They turned up and they said, "Here, we're Track and Trace. We're making sure you're okay." And I said I was fine. After that, I had to do my test on day 2. And the rules are that if you were to fly back from the UK or get on a plane, you're meant to do another fit to fly PCR test, which is another £55. And I thought, why should I pay for a PCR test on me twice in a day so I can fly back? But then I consulted the airline, and the airline said, if you do one PCR test, bring that certificate and you'll be fit to fly back to the UAE. So luckily, that's what it is. But yeah, so many rules make travel so complicated. But luckily, it was a wonderful stay, and hopefully by the 4th of October, as they say, the UAE administered vaccines are going to be recognized, and hopefully we don't have to do the quarantine, and it will make travel a lot easier. But it's been great. It was amazing to be back, and it was nice to see that.
But the question remains.
Yeah.
The question remains. If your second dose it's expired. Is that gonna work for them? Like, for example, if 6 months have already passed on your second dose, is that gonna work for them? We need a booster shot.
I did
travel.
I did. Well, so before traveling to Netherlands accept Sinopharm, and I had received my second dose of Sinopharm in February, and then I did my Pfizer shots. My Pfizer shot booster was enough to let me through, and they calculated the 6 months of the vaccine, or they calculated the 14-day after vaccine from your second dose.
Oh, so they look at the dates.
So they do look at the dates. So they say, okay, so if you've done 6 months already, but you've taken the booster shot, but your second dose is what made you fully vaccinated, and so it's okay. Because my Pfizer shot was administered on 14th day prior to my arrival to the UK, and they were okay with it, but then the rules were still the same, that you are considered fully vaccinated if you were vaccinated in the EU or in the UK or in the US.
Yep.
The rest are genuine fake.
Very odd rules.
Yeah, but now from October 4 onwards, they will be they will make it. They'll normalize it, and hopefully it will just facilitate the world of travel. But no, it was great to be back in the UK, and it was great to see that things are normal over there. And it's always great to see that life is resuming back to normal. And when I landed, I had the good news that no more PCR tests. Or PCR tests are no longer required to commute to the nation's capital, Abu Dhabi. So shout out to all of you who made their way this morning over to the borders. Well, stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We'll be right back after some more discussions here on the program. In fact, right after the business news headlines. You're listening to the Morning Majlis only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
One heck of a ride, said one of the 4 space tourists who have ended their trailblazing trip back to orbit, splashing down in the Atlantic Ocean off the Florida coast. This was a SpaceX space tourism flight, an unprecedented development, and great that they parachuted safely down to planet Earth after spending 3 days in outer space. And what an interesting situation here. This is an all-amateur crew. For the first time, you don't have any professional astronauts out there conducting scientific work, just rich people trying to have fun.
Nicely put.
Exactly. Essentially a billionaire. He paid undisclosed millions of dollars to be a part of the trip, and he got his 3 guests along to show that even regular people with large sums of money can go into the orbit by themselves. And SpaceX founder Elon Musk was more than happy to take them on this trip, on the first rocket riding tourism trip as well. So pretty interesting story.
It's an all amateur crew. It was the first to circle the world without a professional astronaut on board. And the billionaire who paid undisclosed millions for the trip and his 3 guests wanted to show that ordinary people, just like me and you, but with a hefty amount of cash
Yeah.
could blast into orbit by themselves, and SpaceX founder Elon Musk took them on as the company's first rocket-riding tourists. Now, SpaceX's fully automated Dragon capsule reached an unusually high altitude of 585 kilometers after Wednesday night's liftoff. Now, it surpassed the International Space Station by about 160 kilometers. The passengers savored views of Earth through a big bubble-shaped window added to the top of the capsule. And the four people, they streaked back through the atmosphere early Saturday evening. The first space travelers to end their flight in the Atlantic since Apollo 9 in 1969. So this is definitely going to go into history. SpaceX's two previous crew splashdowns carrying astronauts for NASA were actually in the Gulf of Mexico. But looking back at this journey, within a few minutes, a pair of SpaceX boats pulled up alongside the bobbing capsule. And when the hatch was opened on the recovery ship, healthcare worker Haley was the first one to come out, flashing a big smile and thumbs up. All appeared very well and very happy. And the four were due to have medical checks before going to Kennedy Space Center by helicopter for a reunion with their families. But this time, NASA was a little bit more than an encouraging bystander. Its only tie being the Kennedy Space Center launch pad, once used for the Apollo moonshots and shuttle crews, but now leased by SpaceX.
Just going through this story, I'm trying to consider why this would be an amazing thing to do and, spend millions of dollars on becoming a space tourist. I would be a bit disappointed with this trip. You know why? Because it is the fact that you couldn't step out the capsule. You were literally transported in a capsule for 3 days?
Yeah.
But you can
It's 3
see.
days.
But you can see from it.
What if you throw me into
There's a circular window, I think.
Hey, I thought you wanted to do this.
Yeah, but I'm reconsidering
They're
it.
saying that this is the best ride of their life. They
Yeah.
tweeted this. And you're
So-
not happy?
No, I'm not.
It's okay, join us. We don't want to go either. We would never do this.
No, because now I'm thinking, what if you were just put in that little VR roller coaster type thing and told, oh yeah, you're in space, and you're thinking, oh my god, no, I want to be out.
What do you want? You want to be out?
Yeah, I want to step out the capsule.
You want to step out the capsule?
Yeah.
Float in the.
Yeah, I want to
Goodness.
What if you get
experience-
lost in space and nobody can bring you back? Will you be happy?
I'd like to
Then?
be attached to the capsule somehow, but yeah, this is
Very dreamy personality, AK.
it's like
I want to be
being told,
attached to
right?
the capsule, and I want to be outside the capsule.
I did not expect
And I
that.
want to see. Take me on a
No,
tour.
because if someone says we're going to send you scuba diving, but in a vessel, in a submarine, and that's it, and you're thinking, great, this is not scuba diving.
I feel this trip was made for the elite. You're sitting inside a capsule
Yeah.
and there's windows already there. So you're just sitting, looking outside the window, seeing what,
3
Earth.
days.
Looking at
It's a
Earth
long
from
time,
space.
yeah.
That's fine.
It get old really fast.
And it's,
Yeah.
sometimes cabin crew complain, saying that we get to travel, but we get to travel through different hotel rooms. We see the world through our hotel room window, but this is worse. This is 3 days in a capsule.
Maybe
And-
it's better because it's different.
okay. We need to contact.
You're looking at, you can spot Earth, planet, a whole planet
Yeah.
from.
which I could watch on YouTube.
It's 3 days of eating space food too.
Yeah.
They put it in these little capsule container things.
Yeah, it's an experience, and now I'm going to reconsider my enthusiasm for going over because I'd urge the tour companies to change the itinerary and let us step out for a bit. I think that's very important. We want fresh air,
Fresh air.
Why not? But yeah, you never know. Do text us on 4215.
AK just wants to utilize all the resources he can while he's up there.
While I'm up there, for sure. Well, text us in 4215.
Milk the cow as much as you can.
Wow.
as they say.
As they say. Text us on 4215 and we shall be right back here on the Morning Majlis. In fact, we've got a traffic update fast approaching. This is the Morning Majlis only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Well, the Sharjah Research Technology and Innovation Park issued its third distributed ledger technologies license to Zila Pay AE. ZPAE. Now, partnering with banks, Zila Pay AE intends to provide MasterCard-enabled debit cards featuring personalized cards with a low monthly fee and extreme accountability while working with retailers who want alternative payment methods. And of course, the CEO of SRTI Park, His Excellency Hussein Mahmoudi, said that we at SRTI Park are always looking to breathe oxygen into our ecosystem of innovative startups and tech companies. And we welcomed Zila Pay AE because of the problem-solving tech that will help accelerate the merger of retail and fintech on a global scale. So the SRTI Park has been extremely selective on which companies to issue DLT licenses to. Before we issue a license, we go through a long diligence process, but in the end, we ask ourselves one more very important question, and that is, does it help make the world a better place? And we believe Zila Pay AE will.
Yeah, and Zila Pay AE's CEO Sahil Arora said, we chose to set up at SRTIP because of their acute understanding of the space we operate in. They understood the requirement for an environment to test, experiment, and simulate transactions where we can develop our fintech. It also helps that they have the fastest growing tech and blockchain ecosystem in the region. The fundamental utility of our debit cards is not in the FX or global transactions. It's the ability to support ZPAE, DJP, KLV, TRX, and BTC. I know BTC, that one I know, Bitcoin. And subsequently making transacting from coins and tokens to fiat a breeze. So great to see fintech on the rise here and setting up at SRTIP as well, where there's a range of amazing benefits to be had.
They say that this Zila Pay EAE MasterCard debit card allows you to seamlessly spend without having to preload through APIs for seamless spending, thus promoting the transactional framework in a way how a transaction in its truest form should be. Now, my mind is still shell-shocked by the SpaceX flights, and so I'm going to assume with the API they mean advanced passenger information to fly off to SpaceX. The fact that the all civilian space flight, it didn't have a pilot.
Yeah, it was just civilians. It was so odd.
How do they know how to navigate? This is still so odd.
It's programmed, maybe.
It's Elon Musk.
Yeah,
These things always drive themselves.
Now I'm reconsidering my plan of even stepping out of the vehicle. What if these civilians didn't know how to pull me back in?
I mean, yeah, if they can't get auto driving on a Tesla right yet.
Yeah.
Going to space, maybe. I don't know.
You're
about
roasting
that.
your own people.
I'm roasting my own car.
Well, we've got to reconsider plans now. I think we're happy down in space, and with the PCR test requirements and vaccination certificates, we're better off in this world.
Exactly.
We'll let it be, and we shall leave it at that. The morning Majlis is now going to be heading off, but if you enjoyed our conversations, and I'd be surprised if you didn't, where would you be able to catch them?
You may catch them on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcast. Just type Morning Majlis in the search bar to check out bits from the show. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned to Pulse 95. We'll be back tomorrow bright and early at 7 a.m. Until then, stay safe. This is the Morning Majlis.
If you liked this episode of The Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.